Today I want to share with you one of my absolute favorite recipes. I did a video for this a long time ago, but nobody saw it, so I decided to do it again. I grew up eating meatloaf, and so I knew I had to make a version of this that was a lot healthier. This is a comfort food classic made a whole lot healthier. It's easy to make, it's cheap to make, and it's absolutely delicious. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And if you didn't see the original video, stick around. Oh, if you did see the original video, stick around. Hopefully, this one is a lot better. So the first thing I'm gonna make for this recipe is the sauce or the topping that goes on top. Now this is optional. You ain't gotta do it if you don't want it to be absolutely delicious, but if you do, I would recommend it. So for the first video, I made my own ketchup, and I'll link that video for you too, but I wanted to make it as fast as possible because a lot of people are not gonna make their own ketchup like I do. So I found this one, which is actually really good and really clean in my opinion. And it's by a company you wouldn't expect it from, Heinz. So I'm using this no sugar added ketchup, and here's the ingredients on it. You can check them out if you want to. The only thing that might be a little bit suspect is the natural flavors, but that really doesn't bother me for the sake of how convenient this is. I would definitely encourage you to make my ketchup recipe at least once or twice. I use it as a base for my barbecue sauce and everything. But like I said, today I want to make this quick and easy for you. And I'll put everything down below as far as how to make this, but I'm just going to go into a bowl with anywhere from about a quarter cup to a half a cup of ketchup, just depending on how saucy you want it. Then I've got some red wine vinegar here. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of that and 2 tablespoons of the brown sweetener that I make. And you can either make it yourself, I'll leave the link up there and down in the description also, or just use your favorite low-carb brown sweetener. I'm just gonna give that a little bit of whiskey business, and I'm gonna stick this in the fridge to get right while we put the rest of it together. All right, I have talked Old Yeller into coming out of retirement for a savory video instead of sweet. And for my meats, I've got some 85-15 ground beef. This is the kind you can find at Walmart, but Aldi's got a great one as well. I think 85-15 is about perfect. And I went ahead and preheated my oven to 350 degrees. So I'm just gonna put my pound of ground beef in there. And the other thing I have is this meatloaf mix. It's equal parts ground veal, pork, and beef. So if you can't find this, you could have your butcher grind it up or just use regular ground beef or your choice of any of these meats too. So I'll throw that right in the mix as well. We're gonna be using our hands to combine this together to get it right. So, you know, if you wanna put on those gloves or whatever, feel free. I ain't using gloves in here, so to that, I'm going in with 2 cups of pork panko. I make this myself, and I got a video on my channel of how to do that too. Or you can just buy it and pay more money for it. The choice is yours. Now I've diced up half an onion. I'm gonna put that right in the mix. And I like to use this chopper. I showed it in the first video, so I won't go through that again, but I'll put a link to it down in the description. If you've got arthritis or anything like that, or your chopping skills are as bad as mine is, this makes it really, really handy. Then I'm going in with a cup of unsweetened almond milk. Now, if you don't like using almond milk, I don't need to know about that. You can use water instead, or just go ahead and let me know. I know you want to anyway. I'll see you in the comments. And then I got 2 large eggs. I'm just gonna crack those right into this cup. And I like to beat them up a little bit before I throw them in with the rest of the meatloaf. So this is old school right here. This is just how we do it. Dump that right on top. And then about 4 more tablespoons of ketchup. Now I kind of eyeball this, but if you're not an eyeballer, I always like to give you the measurements anyway. I kind of have to back into how I do it and figure out exactly how much it is. So it'll be precise every time. Mine's usually never the same way twice, but hey, it's gonna be delicious. I'll leave the measurements for you down there. And then I think this one's about done. I'm gonna dump in a little Worcestershire sauce. You want about 2 tablespoons of that. That really gives it a great flavor, but if you don't use that, you can use coconut aminos or whatever you like to use to give it that umami taste. I want a little more umami taste. Then I'm gonna season it up with about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Those pork rinds already add a little bit of salt to it, so don't go overboard with this. Anywhere from about 1/2 to a teaspoon of black pepper, just a little bit. And then about 2 teaspoons of dried parsley. Maybe a tablespoon, depending on how fancy you want it to be. And don't tell everybody this, they'll all be wanting to do it. And then before I get all up in there and get past the point of no return, I'm gonna spray down this stoneware loaf pan with a little bit of avocado oil, just to make sure it doesn't stick. And you can use one of these as well, but for video purposes, I'm gonna use my stoneware this time. And now for the fun part. You gotta get in there and mix all this together. And I like to leave this meat out at room temperature before I do this. It just makes it easier to combine. And a lot of you are probably wondering, well, why do you put the almond milk in here? Well, I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference with the texture, whether you use almond milk or water. If you see my meatball video, I do the exact same technique with that. And what it does, it allows you to get a nice crust on the outside, but super tender and soft on the inside. I mean, it is crazy how good that works. And I know a lot of purists are probably saying, well, that is crazy, but hey, try it one time. You'll like it. Now you don't want to overwork this. You just want to make sure you get in there and get it all well combined. Then we're going to put it right inside this loaf pan. Just want to make sure and get it all together. So then once you got it all well combined, just put it right in the loaf pan and give it a good press. Just get it as even as you can right across there. Press it down really good into all the corners. And I'm telling y'all, you are gonna love this. Now I got my sauce out of the fridge. I'm just gonna pour that right over the top. And here's the good news. If you didn't make quite enough, you can always go back and make some more now before you throw this in the oven. Make sure you got a nice even layer all across the whole thing. Oh yeah. And I'm telling you, if you've never tried a topping like this on there before, that little hint of sweetness makes a big difference in this recipe. And you can make this beforehand also. Just cover it with foil, put it in the fridge, and you'll need a little more cooking time if you do it that way. Maybe another 10 to 15 minutes. But I'm gonna start this off at 55 minutes, uncovered inside the oven. After that, I'll show you what to do next. So after the 55 minutes, this is what it looks like. And I meant to tell you, I always put a pan under this, just in case any of this bubbles out. I'm gonna rotate this around 180 degrees, cook it for another 35 minutes, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, time's up. Let's see what it looks like. Oh man, we're gonna be eating good tonight. I mean, look at that. Now for the hard part. This has got to sit for about 15 minutes. Let all the juices get kind of incorporated back into there. And once it's had a little time to rest, I'll show you what it looks like. This is one of our favorites, but let me show you what it looks like. I am telling you, we're going to be eating good tonight. This recipe never gets old. And you can serve this alongside some of my mashed cauliflower or one of my other favorite sides. And I'll put that playlist for you right over here. I'm sure you're gonna find something there that you'll love.